Welcome guys to week 4 of the GTA Online Top 3 Stunts and Racetrack series. This week we have 3 really good picks and I'm really excited for you to check out these tracks. As always, there will be the links to all of these maps in the description down below so you can go and download them. You can go and check them out there and play them for yourselves. So if you guys do end up enjoying the video, be sure to go and hit that like button down below. It really does help support this series and I really do appreciate all of your support, guys. So without further ado, let's go into map number 3. So up in 3rd place we actually have Fire Glide by a man who goes by the name Greatler. Now this map isn't so much actually a racetrack, it's a little bit of an exception actually to the series. It isn't so much a racetrack, nor is it even a stunt track, or I guess it falls more on the stunt side. But that is, you actually start either on motorcycles or on bicycles. You drive up this ramp here with a bunch of kind of boost pads, and you have to glide through this super long tunnel of fire using the gliding glitch in the game. You just have to angle yourself to where you fly through the entire tunnel, and all you have to do is just hit the checkpoint at the very end. Now this may sound very simple, except it took me easily 20-30 tries to get this right on the first time that I played it. After you get it down a couple of times it gets much easier, but I just thought it was a super creative idea. Now by default the map actually takes place at night with the rain going down, and these fiery rings really just kind of stand out in the sky, so definitely much better than playing it during the day. But it has kind of a steady incline as it slowly goes up, and in the end it quickly flicks up, so you have to you can't just stay on that one incline if it's working. You have to keep your hand on the button on the controller, and you have to be ready to flick it up at the last moment to actually end up taking the checkpoint. Now because it's a bit of a strange checkpoint, you have to go through the very middle of it, which is very annoying. You can't go anywhere like near it. It has to be the very center, otherwise it doesn't register, and it's very frustrating if I'm completely honest. It can get very annoying. But overall this map is super creative. This was released very early on actually. This wasn't even released this week. This was one of the first maps I saw on the first couple of days after the creator was dropped. And this is just a super creative map. I really enjoyed playing it. I played it with some of the 6-star guys again in the lobby, and we just had a good time playing it. It's quite tricky, especially at the end where the checkpoint doesn't perfectly encompass the whole circle, but I definitely recommend you guys go check it out. Coming in 2nd place for the week, we actually have stunt number 5, Non-Contact by Rockstar. Now, I think we may have actually featured one of his maps before. He's got at least 6 or 7 of these stunt number something maps, all labeled with the non-contact tag. And they are all so impressive. They're all super smooth, very creative. He uses a lot of nice pieces of kind of aesthetic points. He takes you around to some really nice parts of the map, has some really great kind of drops and big jumps, and makes good use of overlapping track pieces. And he doesn't seem to disappoint with any of these. My main thing that I mentioned in the previous videos is that the thing that I really look for, especially with these maps, is just how smooth they are. And this map really hits out of the park. This thing is so smooth. He uses the snapping tool perfectly. It looks like he's also made some very precise adjustments here and there to really make just the majority of this map such a smooth transition from piece to piece. Everything slides in very well. You never feel like you have to have an abrupt stop here or there. Even when you're going down a massive ramp or down one of the hamster tubes and you level out at the very bottom, most maps I feel like the people that really just can't be asked to actually put in the details, they just kind of put maybe a 45-degree incline and the front of your car, the bumper just smacks onto the ground, smacks onto the ramp. It just doesn't work, but this comes out perfectly. Rockstar has not disappointed in any of his maps in so much as they all have really nice smooth curves at the end. You never crash into anything, the front of your car never scrapes the ground. It's always a really nice smooth transition. And paired with this map, he also has a bunch of really nice jumps, some really long jumps that all work so perfectly. He overlaps some track pieces, you end up coming back the same way that you came, but you end up going through kind of a different area. He's used a couple of pieces which weren't even meant to be stacked sideways or even straight up. He's actually just changed the rotation and they become completely different. You have like a massive valley at one point in this, you have to drive through the valley, and then when you come back to get the finish line on the other side, you drive back through the same valley, but instead of jumping down into it through the roof, you then drive out straight out the front of it. It's really just so impressive. This thing really is a good hybrid track as well, in as much as it mixes the ground and all of the stunt props very well. It also makes really good use of the underground highway tunnel leading by Vespucci Beach. Really well done. He has just some floating track pieces. There's some bits that go out to water. Overall, I just really enjoyed this track. I thought it was super impressive, super smooth, and I'd really like to go and play this with some of the other players because this thing it seems like it could be a real competitive track just because there's no real glitches in it. It seems to work near on perfectly. So really good map there, Russell. I think that's how I pronounce your name. Very good map. You never disappoint. Very good track. And finally, coming in the 1st place spot for this week, we have Declinatus Extremists, made by a guy who goes by the name Heralgar, I think. Why does everybody have such difficult names to pronounce? Anyway, we have this guy who goes by the name Heralgar, and it's a super fun track. Now, this thing was kind of it was a hard push for me to actually decide between this and Ressort's map for the first place, but I ended up settling on this one this week because I thought it was something very nice. And again, my main thing that is attractive about it is how smooth it is. Despite the fact that there are, what, 70, 80,000 stunt tracks just on Xbox One alone, there's about 200,000 on PS4, and easily 100,000 or so on PC. Even though we have such an insane amount, the main problem that all of these face is that they're just not smooth, and I'm not going to get into all of the details of what makes them not smooth like I did on the last map, but this just does so well with that. It really takes that into account and really kind of compensates for it, making everything so well thought out, so smooth. All the track transitions are just so well planned. None of them feel like you're ever making kind of a decision and you quickly get taken off course where you weren't expecting. Everything just flows into each other so well. But despite that, it doesn't mean that it's actually having completely kind of boring tracks, which are just boring flat race tracks, or maybe a couple of jumps here and there that don't really do anything special. Nonetheless, Heralgar has actually managed to make this track pretty creative now. I actually put this on 2 laps here, and I'm going to show you at the end of the gameplay the 2 different splits here. So you can see at one point you can either drive through the tunnel and get the checkpoint, or on the next lap what you can actually do is go up the jump instead of avoiding it, and it will take you on top of these hamster tubes. You'll get taken on the top of it. You'll have a bunch of boost pads, you can still hit that checkpoint, and you will actually drive over the top of it and then drop back inside of the hamster tubes a little way over. It's just a super creative use of them. I love some of these maps. We've seen a handful of maps that actually kind of rely on the top of the hamster tubes or even on the sides, because of course they're completely round, they're absolute cylinders, so you can race around the side of them without any real fear of falling off if you're at fast enough speeds. Now he has some nice transitions with kind of like open hamster tubes. Pretty much all of the maps we see that use them, you have to just go in the very end of them, and it's kind of quite a boring straight. There's never anything too crazy special with them until you reach kind of some big jump or some big inclines. But with this map, it's actually been very creative in so much as it had sideways ones that are open on the sides. You kind of merge into them from the side. Some of the bits you actually have to stay on one side of the track, otherwise you'll fall out of the tubes. He has some bits where you have kind of a slalom inside of the tubes, and which is really fun because every time you go up and then back down the side of one of the tubes, you have a massive speed boost. So this thing is just super fun. Really nice track. Declinatus Extremists, I really like the name as well. So there'll be a link to that in the description down below, as there will be for all of these maps, and I definitely urge you to go and check these ones out, as these are some of my favourite maps we've actually featured in this series so far. On episode 4, it's already been a month since we started this. I'm very excited for the future. And that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. If you guys ended up enjoying the video, be sure to go and hit that like button down below. You guys really do know that it does massively help me out, and I really do appreciate all of the support that you guys give me on this series. I've seen a few nice comments about it, and I'm really appreciating that some of these guys are actually getting some of their maps featured and viewed by some of you guys in the audience. So thank you very much for that, guys, and thank you for all of your ongoing support. Subscribe for more videos just like this coming very soon, and finally follow me on Twitter. There's a link in the description down below. I post more daily GTA 5, real life, graphic design content. You can see me talking with other community members. It's always a good time over on Twitter, so go and follow us there so you can go and get all of the latest updates on what's going on in the game and in my real life. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys all very much for watching. My name has been Fleur, signing out.